The secret that isn't a secret. They told you the moon program ended in 1972. They showed you the footage. The last boot print. The rocket lifting off. Gene Cernan climbing the ladder and saying goodbye, not knowing, or maybe knowing perfectly well, that it would be the last time a human being stood on another world for over half a century. They called it a budget decision, a change in priorities. The Cold War was winding down, the race was won, and the moon had served its purpose. And you believe them. Most people still do. But here's the thing about secrets. The biggest ones are never hidden in darkness. They are hidden in plain sight, buried inside press releases, technical white papers, and International Space Agency roadmaps that nobody reads. The secret is this. We never stopped planning to go back. We never stopped designing the city. For 50 years, while the world moved on to smartphones and social media, a quiet, determined group of engineers never took their eyes off that silver disk in the sky. And right now and tonight, the most ambitious construction project in the history of our species is moving from blueprint to reality. Not in 10 years. Not after some future breakthrough. Now. With the technology that exists today, with the money that is already allocated, with the rockets that are already being built. A city on the moon, not a base, not a research outpost. A city. With housing districts and power grids and farms and hospitals and schools and children who will be born there and grow up never once breathing unfiltered air. The question was never whether we could do it. The question, the one that nobody in any official press conference has ever answered directly, is why? Why now? Why this urgency? Why are three of the most powerful nations on Earth racing toward the same specific craters at the moon's south pole with a desperation that goes far beyond scientific curiosity? What do they know that you don't? Stay with me, because the answer changes everything you think you know about the future of this planet. If you've ever felt that the official story about space exploration is missing something, hit subscribe right now. What we're about to cover in the next 14 minutes is not conspiracy theory. It is documented, sourced, and happening. To understand why the Moon City is being built right now, in secret, in urgency, you need to understand what was discovered in 2008. Not 1969, 2008. That was the year the Indian Space Research Organization's Chandrayaan-1 mission fired its moon impact probe into the surface and detected something that upended every assumption we had. Water, not metaphorical water, actual water ice, hundreds of millions of tons of it, locked in the permanent shadows of craters at the lunar south pole that have not seen a single photon of sunlight in over 2 billion years. 2 billion years. The water that was sitting in those craters when the dinosaurs first walked on Earth is still there. Preserved perfectly. Waiting. NASA confirmed it with the L-Cross mission in 2009, deliberately crashing a rocket stage into Cabeus crater and analyzing the debris plume. The results were unambiguous. Ice. Accessible. Now here is where the story gets complicated, because water on the moon is not just water. Run electricity through water, and it splits into oxygen and hydrogen. Oxygen, breathable air. Hydrogen, rocket fuel. Specifically, liquid hydrogen combined with liquid oxygen is the most powerful chemical rocket propellant ever developed. What this means is that the moon is not a destination. The moon is a gas station. A spacecraft traveling from Earth to Mars does not need to carry all of its fuel from Earth's surface. Earth's gravity well is enormous. Fighting it costs the majority of a mission's total fuel budget just to get off the ground. But if that spacecraft can launch light, dock at a lunar fuel depot, and load up with hydrogen and oxygen refined directly from the moon's water ice, the economics of the entire solar system change overnight. Mars becomes reachable for a fraction of the current cost. The asteroid belt becomes commercially viable. Jupiter's moons become accessible within a human lifetime. The moon is the key that unlocks the rest of the solar system, and whoever controls the moon's water controls the key. This is why the race started in 2008, not 1969. This is why NASA's Artemis program exists. This is why China and Russia announced their joint International Lunar Research Station. This is why Elon Musk says a city on Mars is the goal, because the moon is the mandatory first step. The city is not being built because we are curious explorers. The city is being built because the moon is the most strategically valuable piece of real estate in the solar system. And every major power knows it. Water is not the only thing buried in the lunar regolith. There is something else. Something that has been discussed in classified energy policy documents. It is called helium-3. On Earth, helium-3 is vanishingly, almost incomprehensibly rare. The entire global supply is measured in kilograms. We have almost none of it. But for 4 billion years, the solar wind has been doing something to the moon that it cannot do to Earth. Earth has a magnetic field and a planetary shield. The moon has no such shield. One of those particles is helium-3. 4 billion years of constant deposition. The moon contains somewhere between 1 and 5 million tons of helium-3 sitting in the top few meters. Accessible. Why does this matter? Because helium-3 is theoretically the perfect fuel for nuclear fusion. Conventional fusion produces radioactive waste. Helium-3 fusion is different. The reaction between helium-3 and deuterium produces almost no radioactive waste. The primary output is high-energy protons that can be directly converted to electricity. Clean, virtually limitless power. 100 tons of helium-3, a single cargo shipment from the moon, could theoretically supply the entire United States with electricity for 1 full year. Clean. No carbon, no waste. The global energy market is worth $10 trillion per year. The nation that controls helium-3 mining does not just get the moon. They get the ability to replace fossil fuels on a planetary scale. China's lunar program has explicitly named helium-3 as a primary strategic resource. These are public documents, available to read, written in language that is about as subtle as a freight train. The city is being built because whoever builds it first gains permanent, structural, economic dominance over the rest of human civilization. That is not a conspiracy theory, that is geopolitics. Here is a question that sounds simple but has no answer. Who owns the moon? The 1967 Outer Space Treaty states that no nation can claim sovereignty over the moon. That treaty was written before anyone knew about the water ice, before the helium-3 strategic significance was understood. Now that all of it matters enormously, the legal framework is somewhere between inadequate and completely fictional. In 2015, the United States Congress passed the Commercial Space Launch Competitiveness Act. It granted American companies the legal right to own and sell resources extracted from space. Not the territory, the resources. The Artemis Accords established the concept of safety zones around active lunar operations. Within those zones, other nations' equipment can legally be excluded. It is a territorial claim without a flag. What is emerging on the moon is the architecture of a new colonial order. Zones of control. Exclusion areas. Resource rights without sovereignty. The best sites can likely support only a handful of major installations. How do you actually build it? How does a species that evolved on Earth go about building a permanent home on a world that is actively trying to kill everything alive? The answer is more elegant than you might expect. The answer is in situ resource utilization, ISRU. In plain language, you build the moon using the moon. Every material you need for construction exists on the lunar surface. The challenge is conversion. The process is called sintering. Robots equipped with high-powered microwave emitters superheat regolith particles until they fuse into a dense ceramic material stronger than concrete. Layer by layer, these machines print structures. NASA is already developing this technology through a partnership called Olympus. The system is designed to print landing pads, roads, and full habitation structures. This hardware is being tested in facilities right now, but printed domes face a problem. Radiation. The moon has no magnetic field. Living unshielded delivers radiation equivalent to multiple CT scans every single day. The solution was invented by the moon itself: lava tubes. When the moon was volcanically active, rivers of molten rock flowed beneath surface crusts. When the lava drained, it left behind enormous hollow tunnels. Lunar lava tubes can be a kilometer wide, miles long, intact. The heart of the lunar city will be inside these tubes. The tube interior is the city, the place where people live, work, and grow old. Seal the entrances with massive airlocks. Pump in breathable air. Build vertically. Plant trees. Every system in the human body evolved for one gravitational constant: Earth's. On the moon, you experience 16% of that. It feels like a superpower. Your body disagrees. Bone density drops by 1 to 2% per month. Muscle mass falls even faster. The heart begins to reshape, becoming more spherical. Fluid shifts permanently toward the upper body, creating chronic intracranial pressure. This is a biological adaptation to an alien world. The city's blueprint addresses this through gravity gyms, large centrifuge chambers where residents spend mandatory daily hours spinning at Earth gravity. Miss your time, and your body begins an irreversible adaptation. What about the children? A child born in the lunar city will spend every developmental year in 1/6 gravity. Their spines will elongate, their hearts will develop differently. They will calibrate to an environment that does not exist on Earth. We are talking about the biological divergence of the human species into two populations with different physiological requirements. The technical term is speciation. We are engineering it deliberately in 3 generations. A person born on the moon may be physically unable to visit Earth. Earth's gravity would be genuinely, physically crushing to a body that never learned to carry its own weight. What do we owe the children who can never come home? A city is not a government project. A city is an economy. The lunar city's survival depends on the moon being more valuable as a going concern. It becomes the Singapore of the solar system. The port, the hub, the choke point. The vacuum itself is an asset. Certain manufacturing processes that are impossible in Earth's atmosphere become simple and cheap here. We can relocate Earth's most environmentally damaging industries to the lunar surface. Earth gets cleaner, and then there is the helium-3. The moment fusion becomes commercially viable, the demand will be essentially unlimited. The colony that controls the resource eventually controls the terms. We are building a civilization that does not need us anymore. Close your eyes for a moment. It is 2075. You have lived your entire life inside a lava tube beneath the lunar South Pole. You have never felt rain. You find it beautiful and alien in equal measure. You have never smelled outside air. It just smells like growing things and the particular warm electronic smell of a place that is always at the same temperature. You move with a floating gait that looks like slow motion to others. You have been to Earth twice. You found it overwhelming. The weight was relentless. But more than that was the openness, the sky. The fact that the ceiling of the world was not rock, but nothing. You found it terrifying. You found it beautiful. Earth is not your home. You are the 4th generation born under this rock. Home means tunnels and the sound of the maglev and the LED sunrise. You watch the Earth rise, that blue marble, and feel a certainty that it belongs to someone else. You are home. We began with a secret. The secret was never about conspiracy. It was about something so large that the human attention span slides off it. We are building a city on the moon. We are doing it because the moon contains resources that determine the balance of power. The moon city is the next horizon. The children who will be born there are already alive on Earth. The magnificent desolation is becoming the magnificent civilization. The only question left is who we decide to be when we get there.